Hi, everybody. I am very glad you are here. All right. What I want to talk to you about today are something called Gems. They are a Google Gemini AI product. And when I first learned about them, my thought was, oh my gosh, that's a Flint activity. And so I want to kind of draw that relationship between these ideas of these Google Gems, show you what they are, but really talk to you about how you could take the concept of the Google Gem and make sure that you put it into Flint, and then answer the whole, well, why? Why not just run it in Google? Why not, why not stay there? Why come over to Flint? So that's the goals today. So let me start by going into this website, which I've linked for you in the HSO bulletin. And this is created by somebody named Eric Curts. So this is not my thing, but something that was shown to me at a conference recently. And I was like, this is awesome. So this is a whole collection of Google Gems. And essentially they are tools that you could use with Google Gemini. So let me just expose you to this site, show you what they are, and then talk to you about how you could take those and put them into Flint. So over here on the left-hand side of his page is an organizational structure that categorizes some of these tools, right? So let's just jump down to, say, student tools and jump into, actually, I'm not going to go that way. It's kind of a scrolling thing. These don't, if I click on that, it's not like tabs in a Google Doc that it would jump me there. And so let me just go through these. And as I'm scrolling, you can see all these different types of gems. I'm going to say the word gems when I'm talking Google, but really these are, again, think Flint activities, right? So these are all sorts of different activities that you can run as a Google gem, but I encourage you to bring over and use in Flint. Okay. So let me just show you what this looks like if I were going to use this in Google Gemini. So you can see me popping into Google Gemini here. This is a Google Gemini. And I guess I'm supposed to just ask, like, what if President Kennedy had not been... And I think that's how I'm going to use this one. I'm not totally sure. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's helping me to build this activity through here, right? So I would need to give it a little bit more details, etc. But you can see this looks kind of Flint-like, right? But I'm living in Google Gemini, all right? So that's great. Like these are awesome tools. And if I just keep scrolling through, I encourage you to click on the link and just scroll through here. There's so many different awesome ideas. I mean, if anything, this is giving you ideas of ways that you could use Flint to create an activity for your students, right? And so let me show you how you could use this and take this into Flint. So let's start with, say, this one here, thesis coach, right? So I'm going to go ahead and use this option here now, make my own copy, and I'm going to click on that. And again, it's popping me over to Google Gemini. And here, isn't this kind of looking a little Flint-like? Here on this side of the window is my building, like we have build with Sparky or build manually. And then on this side, I'm getting to preview that activity taking place, okay? Well, what I want you to think about doing is coming here into these instructions, and I simply am gonna Command A to select all of that, Command C to copy all of that, and then I'm going to come over here to Flint, and I'm just going to say to Sparky, can you please create, I always say please, I know we're not supposed to, an activity using these guidelines. And I'm going to shift return. And again, I'm going to correct my spelling, even though I know I don't have to. And I'm going to Command V to paste all that. Look at this, was everything I copied from that Google Gem that Eric Curts created. And look at all this stuff. I mean, it's awesome, right? This is all such great stuff. Okay, let me just repeat what I did. So I came to this, that's the Kennedy one. Let me get rid of that. I came to this thesis coach somebody else had created. I select all the instructions. I copy all the instructions. I simply come to a chat in Flint and ask it to create an activity using all that information. And then I'm just going to click on my little paper airplane here to send this off to Sparky. Now, I'm sure this is going to take just a second, and Sparky's going to start working on this activity. While Sparky is doing that, let's talk about the why. Why not let this just live in Google? Why should I bring this over into Flint? Actually, this was impressive. That did that pretty quickly. Okay. So the why is we know that the really great thing about Flint is that I get to see the student engagement with Flint. So if I were to come here to, say, one of my classes, and I were going to go into an activity that my students had engaged in, the best part of it is these analytics that I get, and I get to see student activities. So if I were to come into this activity that this student did, I can see the entire conversation that the student had with. This was like an hour-long session. I don't know where the rest of that is, but I can see the engagement that the student had. I don't get that in Google, just like I don't get that in most things, right? So while these gems are super cool and they're a lot like Flint activities, I encourage you to pull them out of Google and stick them into Flint and use them there. Okay, hope that's making sense. All right. So here's and I'm going to go ahead and start my activity builder. And then I'm in activity builder, right? So now it's starting to actually create this activity for me. It's using all this language. And now I'm in that activity building screen, which is the same as if I were adjusting my settings of an activity I've already created. So on the left-hand side here, I've got my build window. And on the right-hand side, I've got my preview window. Again, that kind of looked a lot like this bit over here in Google Gemini, right? And there it is. All right, so it's built this activity, and it's going to keep going. And now I can simulate this session and see what it looks like. So now we're talking a little bit about like, okay, well, how do I iterate an activity that I've already gotten? Okay. And obviously right now already, I kind of want to make sure it's talking to 11th graders, and I get a nice preview of what this is. And now anything that I want to change, I can change either using Build with Sparky. So I can type, or I can talk to Sparky using just plain language, or I can go into Build manually, and most of your settings are going to be under behavior. And I'm going to come in here right away and change this to 11th graders. I almost always ask Sparky to be concise, and then I'm going to simulate again. And now I just keep going back and forth between my preview window on the right-hand side and my settings window on the left side until I have it the way that I want it for my students. And then I'm going to create the activity by clicking that button up there in the top right-hand corner. Okay. Good habit. I almost always make it open to anybody at Creighton Preparatory School. I update that. Okay. And then another good practice, let me just throw this out at you in case you are watching this, is under these three dots. Just so we as a community can build a really great collection of resources that we can sort of build off of each other and share ideas. I strongly encourage you to publish your activities to our school library. Let's build up that library and we can all learn from each other in doing that. Okay, I think that's it. So let me just do a quick 1-minute recap. EduGems. Click on this link, scroll through, go to home, scroll through all these different gems that are there. Let that spark your curiosity. Once you see one that you like, simply make your own copy of that gem, go into the instructions and select it all and copy it. And then go over to Flint and use that information to create your own version of the activity in Flint, which is, of course, our tool of choice here at Prep. All right. Thanks so much for being here. Let me know, as always, if there's anything that I can do to help. Thanks.